Hey, thanks for joining us today for Car Seat Programs, How Libraries Can Champion Child Passenger Safety. I'm Cassandra Elton, the founder and director of Antelope Lending Library, a fees-free, nonprofit bookmobile library operating in and around Johnson County, Iowa. Antelope Lending Library has been around since 2012, and we operate with a small team of part-time staff and a 1995 Farber bookmobile. I have a master's degree in library and information science and a graduate certificate in book arts from the University of Iowa, and became a certified child passenger safety technician in 2024. I've worked in nonprofits, for-profits, and public libraries throughout my career, and I'm passionate about community equity and accessibility.
My name is Alexis Kurth, and I'm the assistant director here at Antelope Lending Library. I began my career as an elementary school teacher in Las Vegas before eventually sidestepping into libraries. I served as the adult services librarian at the Solon Public Library for 5 years, and I now work here at Antelope. I became a certified child passenger safety technician, or CPST, in 2024, and the following year, Antelope Lending Library started the very first car seat share program in the state of Iowa as part of our library services. We're excited to have you here to join us today to learn about how libraries like yours can be champions of child passenger safety.
Our learning objectives for this session are pretty straightforward. 1, learn about child passenger safety regulations. 2, become familiar with national and local child passenger safety resources. And 3, identify actionable ways your library can educate your community about child passenger safety. So to start off, let's set the stage for why child passenger safety education is so important. You can see on our slide here that motor vehicle crashes are a leading cause of death for children in the United States. This statistic comes from Safe Kids Worldwide, a nonprofit organization working to reduce preventable injuries to children and building sustainable systems to protect all families. Libraries are a great place to educate the public about this preventable public health issue. So take a moment to explore this helpful resource now.
We're going to be talking a lot about child passenger safety in this presentation, and you might be asking yourself, what even is child passenger safety? Well, in short, child passenger safety is how children travel safely in vehicles. This includes not just car seats and booster seats, but also plain old seatbelt use. Statistics tell us that child safety seat use, that is rear facing, forward facing, high back booster, low back booster, all of those, reduces the risk of injury to infants and toddlers from 71 to 82% when compared with just seatbelts alone. This little guy, cute guy sitting in the front seat of our bookmobile at a community event. But from a safety standpoint, Can you spot some issues with him riding here? He's in the front seat, the driver's seat. We would never put a toddler in the driver's seat, obviously, but we should also never put toddlers in the front seat. NHTSA, the National Highway Travel and Safety Administration, recommends backseat usage until the age of 13 and when kids can fit with height and weight requirements. Another thing you might see in this picture, no car seat. And a third, not only is he not wearing a car seat, but he doesn't even have the bare minimum of a seatbelt. So it's a good thing we were just sitting at the event and not traveling anywhere with him. Did I? Nope. Like everything else, car seat safety changes over time. Not just the type of seats that we consider safe, but the kids using them also change. Kids grow and technology changes. If you look at a car seat from the 1950s or the 1980s, like you see here, they look very different from what we use today. Passenger safety has changed a lot over the last few decades. We've gone from these bassinets and bucket style seats to 5-point harnesses and lap and shoulder belts. We now know more and we do better. We check for damage and expiration dates, which are typically 3 to 7 years from a manufacturer's date. We follow height and weight limits, and most importantly, we adjust car seats when kids grow out of them. Because the safest seat for a 2-year-old isn't going to be the safest setup for that same child when they're 6 or 12. Yes, I said 12. Many 12-year-olds still need a booster seat. And if you're a parent, grandparent, aunt, uncle, caregiver yourself, you might already know some car seat basics. But a study from NHTSA shows that 46% of car seats are actually misused. Common misuses include children being in the wrong seat of the car for their age and size. It includes car seats being improperly installed and improper uses of harnesses and seatbelts. All of these things leave children vulnerable to injury in a car crash. And by teaching caregivers, we can give them confidence. Pointing them toward accurate resources and connecting them with professionals or local agencies can help them make the best choices. Which leads me to our next one, the idea of good, better, and best. This is a phrase we use a lot as CPSTs because child passenger safety isn't always a simple right and wrong answer. Good might be, is the child restrained at all? Are they following the law? Better might be, okay, now they're following the law, but they're also in a seat or a booster that's appropriate for their height and their weight. And maybe the seat is expired, or maybe it's installed not quite right. The Insurance Institute for Highway Safety has a really helpful chart about the laws for each state regarding seatbelt use and car seat use for children. Many of these laws don't actually align with the best practices, but they're a baseline to help caregivers make decisions. So we have good, we have better, and then we have best. Best would be if a child is in the right seat for their age, height, weight, and developmental level. The seat isn't expired. It's installed and being used correctly, and they're riding in the safest possible position in the car. NHTSA has a chart to help understand these things and what that might look like for your child. As a child passenger safety technician, CPST, we are not here to shame people into doing everything perfectly. Sometimes good is where the family is starting, and it's our job to help them move towards better and, when possible, even to best. Sometimes at a seat check, we might say, well, the law of the state says that you can turn your child forward facing at 12 months, but it's actually much safer to leave them rear facing as long as possible. Parents then get to decide what to do with that information. We've got a QR code and a link here for you to take some time to explore the seatbelt and car seat laws I mentioned earlier.
So, how do libraries fit into this conversation? Well, libraries are already established community hubs. We are one of the few places that you don't need to spend money to spend time. And even though most libraries are government agencies, we are seen as more neutral than other arms of government, like the police department, for example. A caregiver might come to the library for a book or a story time and then leave with a parenting resource, health resource, or connection to another community organization or event. This happens constantly in libraries. Someone comes in looking for one thing, and then because we're talking to them, we discover there's something else that they need. That is one of the unique strengths of libraries. We also already have established programs for families and caregivers. Things like story time, baby garden, and 500 books before kindergarten already work with one of the primary demographics for child passenger safety. We're good at sharing information about other community organizations and resources, so adding referrals to local CPSTs or child passenger safety events fit right in with what a lot of us are already doing. Libraries can even host a seat check drive as a library event. This doesn't have to involve distributing car seats at all, just hosting a child passenger safety technician to check that families' car seats are the right size for their child, installed correctly in their car, and the straps are being used correctly. Plus, they can just be there to answer any questions that parents might have. Through basic information sharing or specific programming design, you can create opportunities for conversations and learning that wouldn't happen elsewhere. Plus, libraries are just more accessible than many other government agencies. Most libraries, though not all, have open hours that extend into the evenings or weekends, unlike most traditional government agencies. Libraries can also apply for grant funding to support programming around child passenger safety. That doesn't mean that you need to become a CPST like Alexis and I did, but instead you can ask who in our community already does this well, and how can we help them reach people? This could be a health department, a hospital, a Safe Kids Coalition, a police or fire department, a nonprofit, or even an individual CPST that you might know personally. The library can be the bridge connecting people to services and services to people. For a family already using the library, this can be a very easy first step. And even if the library cannot provide the service itself, staff can provide a warm referral, and that is very powerful. Lastly, librarians and library staff are trusted information professionals. At a time when it's getting more and more difficult to parse reality and imagination, both online and in print, libraries are important experts to connect patrons to vetted facts and other experts. For example, car seat sharing is something that happens all the time. Parents of kids who have grown out of their seats want to share their old car seats with their friends. Why wouldn't they? Car seats are so expensive. They put car seats out on the curb for free or post in online groups offering their old seats to anyone who might want them. Historically, the party line has been that it is unsafe to share car seats, full stop, that the safest seat is brand new out of the box. However, checklists like the one on this slide here are fairly new resources, and this one comes from the most current version of the CPST training manual. Consumer Reports also has an interactive flowchart to help caregivers decide if a seat is most likely safe to use or not. Libraries are poised to share information like this about how to share seats safely and responsibly, empowering caregivers and generous neighbors alike. Here we have a direct link to the interactive flowchart from Consumer Reports I mentioned earlier. Take a minute to get familiar with it now. Remember, libraries don't have to do everything, even though sometimes it feels that way. We can simply be another trusted doorway to correct information and resources. Libraries can share existing trusted resources, host CPST events, provide space for one-on-one CPST appointments, include CPSTs in family programs, connect families with local agencies, and help community partners reach hard to reach underserved communities.
As Cassi mentioned earlier, we started our own seat share program, the first of its kind in Iowa. So let's talk about it. We were inspired to learn more about the topic when we noticed that many children at one of our community centers where we visit in the library was riding in the car without any restraints at all. We knew that it was dangerous, but did you know that a properly used and installed seat can help reduce the risk of injury by up to 71%? We knew that CPSTs existed, but we hit a wall when trying to get in touch with one. All of our contacts led back to a single person, and she was too busy to help us. So, for our first seat event, we ended up just collecting donations of new in the box car seats that were distributed at the same community center during their holiday event. While we only distributed 18 seats that day, all of them that we had collected, we collected information for about 40 more families still in need. So it was clear that something more needed to be done. Here you can go to the Safe Kids website and look up CPSTs in your area. You can search by name, city, county, state, or even by the languages that the CPSTs speak. The URL is pretty cumbersome, so we've created a tiny URL here for your convenience. If we had known about this resource earlier, we may not have needed to become CPSTs at all. We decided to become CPSTs and we got on a wait list to join the certification class so that we could get certified ourselves and not need to wait on the availability of one of the CPSTs we knew. It took 2 years, but we finally made it off the wait list and into one of the classes. Because certification was not a requirement for our employment, like it is for some firefighters, EMTs, or hospital staff, we kept getting leapfrogged until spots finally became available for us. The class was 4 days of 8 hours each day for a total of 32 hours of instruction. And Cassie did this class in person while I took it hybrid, where I completed assignments virtually and sent videos of me doing them to my instructor. Then I had to drive to the state capitol for my final hands-on evaluation. The certification expires every 2 years, but it can be renewed through continuing education credits and hand-on community events. You can check out this website to take some time and explore the steps of becoming a CPST. In the fall of 2024, we tried another community car seat event. Now that we were both certified and we knew a few more CPSTs, this time we partnered with our local county HHS to distribute even more new seats. Every year, they hold a back to school event at the same community center where we first noticed kids arriving without proper seatbelts. So we joined their event. We had seats donated by community members, along with seats provided by the county using funding from their early childhood coordinator. And on what was probably the hottest day in August, we distributed and installed 64 car seats, and it checked the installation of 4 more. We had approximately 265 people come through that day, and it really showed us what could happen when you combined community partnerships, resources, and a little bit of CPST knowledge. But believe it or not, there were still more folks who needed seats. It seemed that no matter how many seats we distributed, there was still a wait list of about 45 families who needed seats. This is really where our car seat program, share program, was born. Cassie and I did a lot of research into the sharing programs because we had been taught that distributing used car seats was a big no-no. But when we started finding large organizations in other states doing it successfully. One hospital, for example, was lending specialized seats for premature babies. Most car seats have a minimum of 5-pound weight. So these seats were loaned to families until their babies were big enough to fit inside a standard seat. They tracked the seat's history after every use, and they had families sign that the seats had never been in a car crash and that they understand that it had been previously used. That got us thinking, could we create something similar in our own community? Could we safely share car seats while removing the financial barrier of buying new ones? So we created our own crash history and liability waiver with the help of our attorney, and we started collecting used seats through community events and drop-off locations. From there, the seats come back to our storage space, where our CPSTs inspect every seat. We check all for recalls, expiration dates, missing or damaged pieces, and the overall condition of the seats. The seats that pass inspection are cleaned and then prepared for redistribution. Now, just as importantly, we also know when to say no. Not every seat that's donated can be reused. Some of them are expired, damaged, recalled, or have unknown crash histories, and those seats are properly discarded. As you can see here, our first year of our program was wildly successful. We received 39 used seats. In addition to the used seats, we were still receiving donations of new seats. So we were able to install 30 seats, inspect an additional 33 seats, and we removed 19 unsafe seats from use. When we were doing these seat inspections and installations, we would often notice that older siblings were there too, but they did not always have appropriate safety seats. About 4 out of 5 parents move their children out of a booster seat before they're actually ready. This usually isn't because parents don't care about safety. They simply just don't know what they don't know. And honestly, many of the families we serve just don't have the resources to buy a new car seat or booster seat every time their child outgrows one. So that was another gap that our program can help fill. When their children outgrow these seats, they then bring them back to us to trade up for the next largest seat. There they get education about when it's appropriate to move to the next size. This gives us another seat to reuse until it's damaged or expired. While we love the energy of the large community events, most of our work actually happens through one-on-one appointments. We now have a Google form where caregivers can sign up to receive a seat. And when a seat becomes available, we reach out to the family to schedule an appointment. These appointments generally last 20 to 40 minutes, and at them, our CPSTs fit the seat to the child and then the child to the vehicle. We provide hands-on instruction and important safety information to caregivers. This one-on-one approach allows us to make sure that each family leaves with a seat that is properly fitted, installed, and they have the knowledge and confidence to use it safely. We sometimes do smaller events. When we can, we get two, three, or four local CPSTs together, and we try to complete 10 or 12 installations in a day. This works especially well when we partner with other agencies that have caseworkers, social workers, or family support staff who can help coordinate families to get there. This is especially helpful when they speak languages that I do not speak. Depending on your community, having a translator available can be incredibly helpful. And if you don't have that option, we have found that Google Translate works surprisingly well. There are also some really great wordless child passenger safety videos from Children's Minnesota that can bridge the language gap. And honestly, sometimes we end up just charading, miming, shaking, and nodding heads. Whatever works. The goal is to make sure that caregivers understand how to use their seats safely. Take a minute to check out this Children's Minnesota website. They have wordless public health videos. This link sends you directly to the car seat video, but they have so many great wordless videos about public health and resources there as well. Studies show that more than half of car seats are used or installed incorrectly. And when we learned that in Iowa it's closer to 8 out of 10, that actually really scared us. As librarians and distributors of information, we knew that we had to do something. Our goal became simple, to help families find the resources they needed. And then when we couldn't find the resources, we became the resources ourselves.
Well, a certified child passenger safety technician is the best resource for parents since we can inspect seats, children, and vehicles in person. There are also so many online resources that can help caregivers make informed decisions about seats that are best for their children. Here's a collection of the main resources we've shared throughout this presentation today in one easy place for you to reference, as well as some additional resources. We encourage you to explore these and share those that you think would be most helpful to your community in whatever way you think would be best. Thanks again for joining us today. We hope that you feel more empowered to have conversations with your library patrons around child passenger safety and where to find reliable information to share with your community. Whether it's hosting your own seat check drive-through or simply including child passenger safety brochures along with other community resources, you can help keep more kids safe on the road, which is something we can all get behind. Please don't hesitate to reach out to either of us with any questions you may have as you start to implement programming or information sharing at your library. Thanks again for joining us.